Hi, I'm Kari Samuels, your intuitive counselor and happiness coach with your November forecast. And I cannot believe it is the last 2 months of the year now. My goodness, this year went so fast. So these last 2 months are so pivotal for your spiritual growth. No pressure, but there's a lot going on right now. And really, you want to make the most of this time right now. It's really, really important. November is the 11th month, and 11 is a master number. This is the month where, the last 2 months of the year are always really kind of intense and important for tying up loose ends and letting go of what you don't need. You're preparing for a new year. Well, 2017 is going to be a one universal year, which is a whole 9-year cycle we're starting. And this now, you're finishing up a 9-year karmic cycle. It's deep, it's really big. So these last 2 months are so important. And this month in particular, because like I said, this 11th month, 11 is a master number, teaches you how to master your life. So there's a lot going on. So November is the month of Scorpio until the 21st. And Scorpio is really deepening your sense of spiritual awareness, your connection to your emotional life, and all the things that are really important to you, deeply important to you. Scorpio is, it's not a light and fluffy sign, right? So if you are a Scorpio or you know a Scorpio, the first word that a lot of people say is intense. And that's not a bad thing. It's actually a beautiful thing, because Scorpio is all about going beneath the surface and deepening your intimacy with yourself and others, because there's nothing shallow about this, okay? Scorpio elementally is fixed water, and still waters run deep, right? Water is associated with your subconscious and your intuition. So that's really what this Scorpio energy is about connecting you to all the parts of you that are buried deep beneath the surface. So what is going on beneath your surface? What's going on in your unconscious and your subconscious? What's going on in your intuition? You get like millions of pieces of intuition every single day. All day long, you're being fed intuitive messages. And oftentimes, we ignore them, right? So sometimes we get like red flags about someone or something, or we feel uneasy about someone or something, and we choose to look away for what kind of reasons? Because you want security, right? Like there's things in your career or your job you don't like maybe, and you overlook them because you want security, you want to provide for yourself and or your family, right? But there's also dreams and hopes and desires that you bury under there. Sometimes in childhood, sometimes in past lives, you bury these parts of yourself to keep them safe. Right? Maybe it's not a good time for you to say like, hey, I'm a psychic or I'm an artist or whatever it is, because you don't feel comfortable with that. So these are the things that get buried in your subconscious and your unconscious. And during Scorpio, which is the time of death, birth, and rebirth, this is a time of really letting go of detritus, letting go of what's unnecessary for you, letting go of these parts of you that are not giving you life and feeding you life so that you can be reborn. Now, because Scorpio is associated with the shadow, there's really no other sign that brings up the shadow as much as Scorpio, especially in relationships. And this is why we have Halloween during Scorpio, right? Because this is about like bringing all those ghouls and to life. And when you bring it out in the open, it's not so scary anymore. So what happens is, in relationships especially, and that could be relationships with your place, your country, your home, your career, the closest people around you, whatever it is, your relationships are going to reveal where you are, including your shadow. And again, this month is really going to be brought to light, okay? Your shadow is brought to light, and that's what the 11 is about. It's about light, bringing things to light. And as bright as your light is, sometimes the deeper the shadow is, and that gives you a real depth of experience on the human plane, right? You want to live a full life, right? So in your relationships, if there's parts of you that are buried, let's say you're denying who you are and you're not appreciating your gifts, you're going to draw people into your life that don't appreciate you. And that's how that works, right? So anytime you come up with conflict or confrontation or something that really brings up a lot of emotion for you, that's your shadow. That's your shadow being reflected in the real world, and you want to pay really close attention to that this month. You really want to be hyper aware of what you're thinking, what you're feeling, and what the world around you is reflecting. The two planets that rule Scorpio are Pluto, and you know Pluto in mythology is the god of the underworld, and Mars, the god of war. It's perfect for election season, right? Here in the States. So this is like not for the timid, okay? So this is about really being truthful about who you are and what you want to be, and the deepest desires that are buried inside of you being resurrected. Now, November 2016 in numerology is a 20 universal month, and 20 is actually associated with the sign of Scorpio. It's all about the subconscious and deep intuitions. This is really illustrated really well in the tarot card 20, which is Judgment. Take a look at this card. It looks a little funny. It looks a little scary. So first you have the Archangel Gabriel with her copper trumpet waking up these souls of the dead, and they're rising out of the graves and they're like rejoicing. Okay, so this is not like a zombie apocalypse kind of energy. That's the way it's depicted in the tarot. It's really about liberation and freedom, because what's happening, Archangel Gabriel, who is the archangel of communication and expression, and she's like waking you up. That's the energy of like, hey, wake up to who you are so you can express the truth of who you are. And those images of them rising from the graves like that, all gray and rejoicing like that, that's the parts of you that have been buried that are being freed with your expression, with your voice, with being true to yourself. So these parts of yourself that have been buried are finally coming out, being brought to light. And again, this is so important, because as you are finishing up this 9-year karmic cycle, because 2016 is a 9 universal year, you want to start this next 9-year cycle starting in January. You want to start that with real clarity, with real truth, with real confidence about what you want to create, what seeds you want to plant. But right now it's compost time, okay? And there are 3 days that you really want to make sure you're doing something very special. You may want to make a ritual out of it. November 14th, we have a full moon in Taurus. Full moon, this is the 5th supermoon of the year. Ooh, the supermoon, the moon is bigger than it usually is. It's closer to Earth. So this really magnifies your emotions and magnifies your psychic gifts. Okay, so that's a really important day. And 14 is a number of freedom. So this is about freeing yourself. In Taurus, Taurus is all about really enjoying the sensual pleasures of the earth and really being okay with money and joy and pleasure. So on that day, during the light of that full moon, let go of your scarcity consciousness. Let go of all the places in your life where you're keeping yourself small, and allow yourself to dream big under that larger than life moon. Okay? And then also 11/11, it's always a magical day. 11 is a portal. Use that light, use that gateway into that higher level of your consciousness to really declare to the universe. There's no number more aligned than that 11/11, where you're aligning with the divine. So you declare to the divine what you want in your life, and you receive that inspiration and promise yourself you're going to act on it. Now also the 29th, which is our new moon, is another 11/11 day, because the 29 equals 11. So we have our new moon, the day of setting intentions, on an 11/11 day, and it's in Sagittarius, which is all about your future vision. So you declare to the universe what you really, really, really want, your deepest desires, and do not play small. Okay? So I have 3 action steps to really magnetize and navigate this incredibly liberating spiritual energy. So the first thing is, be incredibly honest with yourself. Be truthful. I guarantee it, you have desires buried deep inside of you. So deep, you will not let yourself acknowledge them because you're afraid of what it's going to lead to. You have like dissatisfaction that you have buried deep inside of you, because yeah, it's great to be grateful and you're always grateful for what you have, but it is okay to want more. It's okay to say, I deserve more in my life. So get very, very clear with the things that you've been hiding from yourself, the passions that you've been hiding from yourself because you think there's no way I can possibly live these passions. You need to be very clear about what they are, because if you don't admit them to yourself, then they're going to just get buried deeper. But if you start to admit them, you can start to act on them and express them. That's what Archangel Gabriel is teaching you, okay? Expressing what's going on inside of you and expressing what you don't like. And if you make changes, they're only going to be in the positive direction, moving you forward towards your heart's desires and what your soul is meant to express in this world. Now, the second action step is to write things down in a journal, or not even in a journal. You could just write them on paper, but it's important that you are writing things down. And what's really helpful is if you write by hand, because that goes from your brain through your heart and out your hands. Not on a computer necessarily, like real pen and paper, old school, okay? Because this really connects you to the deeper part of yourself. So this is all about connecting you to the parts of yourself that you don't really realize are there. So as you write, first write down your desires, keep writing, and write down your fears, write down what you don't like, and keep doing it. This is going to come in layers because there's parts of yourself underneath the parts that you are not even acknowledging that are going to be revealed as you keep doing these exercises and writing and uncovering and revealing, so you can really connect with yourself. Now, the third thing is release feelings of resentment through forgiveness. Resentment and blame, that is karma that you are carrying with you. Karma is really these emotionally charged negative feelings that you've been carrying around throughout your life and probably several lifetimes. And the more you have these negative emotional charges, the more you're going to attract people and circumstances that match them. And you probably have emotional charges towards yourself and other people that you don't even realize. So as you're writing things down and you notice you're getting really emotional, you still feel a lot of intensity or emotions around somebody or something or yourself because you're still blaming yourself or being mad at yourself, let that go. Let the angels help you. Bring light into it and breathe in love and forgiveness and compassion. So if you follow those 3 steps, I know that this is going to be liberating for you. You're going to be free of guilt and blame and shame, and so you can move on into this next cycle of your life with joy and confidence, clarity and enthusiasm. So I hope I've inspired you to have the absolutely best month that you can possibly have and be the most that you can be. And if you've enjoyed this video, share it with your friends. I know they will appreciate you for it. And in the meantime, I am wishing you a beautiful, soulful November and beyond. Lots of love. Bye for now.